Hello again, Gills fans. Welcome back to another episode of Gills in the Blood TV. This one is the second in my mini-series of potential targets for the summer, and we are calling this one Sensible Targets, Freebies and Loans. The idea of this episode is to look at positions where I think we might lose some players in the summer. Obviously, we are doing this before any sort of retained and release list is published by clubs because there is still one game to go in the regular Sky Bet League 2 season. But having already published my wingers and strikers episode, this one is going to look at different positions across the pitch and, like I say, give reasons why I'm looking at those positions. First up is going to be goalkeeper. So I've got a couple of options here. Reason being, we know that Glenn Morris came back into the side in February after that injury to Jake Turner against Stockport County. But Jake has recently reclaimed his place between the sticks, and Stephen is on record as saying that Jake is his number one now. So will Glenn Morris, at 40 years of age, want to play second fiddle for another season? Surely, if he is looking to continue his playing career, not only will he want to, but he will certainly deserve to go and be a number one somewhere else. So for that reason, I'm going to look at two keepers who could potentially come in and at least give competition to Jake. First up is a 27-year-old stopper who is plying his trade at Wimbledon, and he was born in New Zealand. His contract, if I have got the information correct off the internet, does expire this summer, so he would be a free agent. I'm talking about Nikola Zarnev. Now, this season he's only played once in League 2, conceding 3, so obviously no clean sheets. He's lost his place to Alex Bass, who is on loan at Plough Lane, I think from Championship outfit Sunderland. But if you look at his record before that, Zarnev has been very, very good at League 1 and League 2 level. In 22-23 in this division, he kept 13 shutouts in 39 appearances. He's played over 240 games in his senior career. Previous clubs include a loan at Sutton United. But yeah, been a regular right up until this current campaign with the Dons. And if you look at his strengths, I think there wasn't much in terms of videos on the internet to have a look. Did find a couple of articles though, and the main 2 points that came out of it was shot stopping and distribution, and that second word could be the key one, couldn't it? If Stephen Clements wants us to play a certain way and to play from the back, if Zarnev can play with his feet, then that would help us do that more regularly and certainly more efficiently. So that's my first pick, Nick Zarnev. Second pick for potential goalkeeper signing is a player that is familiar to fans of Gillingham Football Club. He's 22 years old. He's currently in the Championship and has had a loan spell in League 2 this season up in the north of the country. That might be a clue. I'm, of course, talking about Joe Walsh, former player. Contract does expire this summer, it looks like. He signed a 3.5-year deal when he left a few winters ago now to join the London outfit. I don't think he's made a senior league appearance for the Hoops yet, but he did have an impressive loan spell at Accrington Stanley back in the winter. He was brought in as an emergency due to injuries, played 7 times, conceded 9 and kept 2 clean sheets. But I think I spoke to Tony Robinson, an Accrington fan who lives across the water in Canada but helps run a podcast, and he was very, very effusive in his praise of young Joe, and said that it would have been great if they'd been able to keep him longer term, perhaps for the rest of the season, but such are the rules. So yeah, previous clubs do include us, of course, and Accrington because of that loan spell. Still very young, so I'd put that down as a strength. Still bags of potential and talent to work with, develop and improve. And similarly to Jade and Fevrier that I mentioned in my first episode of this series, he's not going to come in and be the finished article, but at 22 now, I think he'd be able to compete at the level. He's shown that he can do it at this level with Accrington in that already mentioned loan spell. If they do offer him a new contract, then we could maybe get him in on loan, but if they don't want him, then maybe there's an option to get him in on a free transfer, because if they decide not to offer him a contract, QPR, then we don't have to pay any sort of tribunal fee, I believe, despite his age. So yeah, that's my second pick between the sticks, Joe Walsh. I'm now going to move on to left back, and this isn't because I don't like any of our options, because I think that both Max Clark and Scott Malone, I think I've been on record as saying they're the best pairing in terms of 2 left backs at one club in the division. That was earlier in the season, granted. But it's not because I dislike either of them. It's just I think that both are so good at the level that one might ultimately move on. Whether that's Scott, who at 32 might still think that he can play at a higher level because he's been out of the side more frequently than he's been in it over the last couple of months under Stephen Clements and lost his place to Max. But they're both very good options. But I just think we need to cover ourselves, because if one of them does move on. We're going to need some competition for the one that stays. So yeah, that's why I'm looking at options in the left-back position. First up is a man who has just won promotion out of League Two. So it will remain to be seen whether he gets to play in League One. I'm talking about 26-year-old Nottingham-born Callum McDonald. Contract runs until next summer, so he would command a fee. But speaking to Sam, who runs the Mansfield Musings Twitter page and website, he thinks he may be made available for transfer. I think he's had to play second fiddle mainly to Bailey Cargill over the second half of the season and picked it after picking up an injury. Still featured 19 times for the Stags this current season. No goals, no assists, 2 clean sheets. Can count Blackpool and Tranmere amongst his previous clubs. But he's played over 200 games in his senior career, including 102 at League Two level. So he's very good in this division. He's contributed 6 goals and 7 assists in his career to date. So you might say, oh, he doesn't seem to have much of an output. Is he an attacking enough fullback that we might want under Stephen Clements? Well, if we can get the recruitment right higher up the pitch, then there's not so much on an onus for the fullbacks to be providing goals and chances. So that's my thinking. Strengths, again, these are courtesy of Sam. Reliable, technically good, tenacious, just a generally solid player at the level. So yeah, that's my first pick at left fullback, Callum McDonald. Next up is a loan option, and I'm going back to another of Stephen's former clubs that he played for, like I did in episode 1. And again, it is at Tottenham Hotspur's under-21s. It is 20-year-old left-back Charlie Sayers, born just across the water in Southend. Not sure what his contract situation is, but it doesn't matter if we're just looking at getting him in on loan and borrowing him essentially. In 23-24, he's played 11 times, including 3 in the EFL Trophy against senior EFL sides. No goals, no assists, 3 clean sheets. Previous club, Southend, he was taken from them at a young age to go into the Tottenham Academy. And yeah, kept a clean sheet in a 5-0 victory against Colchester's senior team in that trophy game. Can operate at centre-back as well. Again, not much video footage for Charlie Sayers, but a couple of bits I did find. Strengths include stamina, bravery and pace. So yeah, would be one that comes in and we'd have to nurture and develop. And we know that they're going out on loan because they're no way the finished article in terms of being a professional footballer. But could be a good option, especially if you could get one of his teammates in as well, either Santiago or Lancashire that I mentioned in episode 1 of this series. So that's my second pick at left back, and it would be a loan option for Charlie Sayers. 4 down, 4 to go, and we move to more central areas of defence now. My reasons for looking here are because we only have 3 centre-backs at the club at the moment. Shadogi, Max Amer, Connor Masterson. We have Ollie Hawkins, and I did say in episode 1 of this series that I thought if we kept him and used him as a striking option and a backup centre-half, we wouldn't have to go into the market. But if we don't do that, then we may have to look at adding a 4th centre-back, especially if Clements wants to play a back 3 next season at times. I think it's vital that we have an orthodox spare, so to speak, to give competition to cover injuries and suspensions. So that's my thinking behind looking at centre-backs. First up is a second promotion winner out of this division who is out of contract. He's 27 years old. He's playing for Wrexham this current campaign. He was born in Croydon though, so not too far away from the Gills, certainly closer than Wales. And I'm talking about Aaron Hayden. 15 appearances in 23-24. He scored 1 goal, contributed 2 assists and kept 3 clean sheets. So he's been in and out the side. Can count Wolves under-21s and Carlisle United amongst his previous clubs. But he's been very, very impressive since arriving at the racecourse ground 3 summers ago. 80 games, 20 goals from centre-half is an incredible return for a defender. 1 in 4. That's better than some of our strikers this past campaign, including 65 games in 2 campaigns in the National League. Of course, helping them to win that title last spring. And of course, he has played his part in getting them promoted straight through into League One for next season. So more than capable at the level. There is a decent video on YouTube of some of his highlights. Strong, aggressive, are 2 of the attributes that I've pointed out and picked out. It's good in the air in both boxes as well. How often have we heard under Steve and under Neil Harris previously, we've not been good enough in both boxes? I think he'd add to that. He's comfortable bringing the ball out of defence. There's one small clip in the highlights package where he brings it out from centre-half and goes round the winger, drives to the halfway line. Yeah, and just looks very sort of athletic and just a good physical specimen, everything that you'd want in a modern day centre half. So yeah, that's my first pick in central areas, Aaron Hayden. My second choice is for someone that is plying his trade in the north of the country at the moment. Contract does expire this summer though. I know his club Morecambe have had various off-field issues with ownership, etc. So I don't think they've got hardly any people that are under contract beyond the end of this season. So I know it's a bit sort of a vulture-like, but we might have to take advantage of that. This player was also born in London, so that helps geographically. I'm talking about 24-year-old Jacob Badeau, who has played 43 times this season. He's contributed 2 goals and an assist, and he's kept 7 clean sheets for the Shrimps. Can count Aston Villa under-23s and Scunthorpe United amongst clubs that he's played for before in his career. He has played nearly 200 senior games already at the age of 24, which I think is great. So much good experience at League One and League Two level, despite still being very, very young for a centre-back. Had a chat with Tom from Shrimps Online, very good page on Twitter. So if you're not following them, go and give them a follow. He just said good all-rounder, good experience, comfortable on the ball, loves a challenge, but without neglecting his positional play. So yeah, plenty of attributes there that you'd want in a centre-back. So yeah, that's my second option, Jacob Badeau. Final position to look at is the middle of the park. I'm going to look at 2 central midfielders. I think if you look at our current squad, Sean Williams I don't think will be here next season. Tim Dieg's the wrong side of 30. Ethan Coleman's been very good. Dom Jeffries has missed large parts of the season due to injury, so we might have to be careful with him if he's with us next season. We've obviously then got people like Johnny Williams and George Lapsley that can play further forward, but I just think we might need another sort of number 8 box-to-box, like a Carl Dempsey type that we had a few seasons ago before he left on that winter deadline day in 2022. So that's my thinking behind this, a couple of old-fashioned centre midfielders that do both sides of the game. My first pick is the 3rd promotion winner in the list, and again he comes from Mansfield Town. He is 28 years old, he was born in London, contract doesn't expire until next year, so we would have to go in and make a bid to try and prize him away. I'm talking about Hiram Boateng. This season he's played 33 times for Mansfield Town, he's contributed 5 goals and 3 assists, so hasn't played all the time, a decent amount, but the key for me is looking at his career, in which he's played over 300 times at senior level, but only 25% have been at League One. Majority of games he has played at have been in this division, League Two, over 60% in total. So is there a case to say that he might not step up with Mansfield Town? I mean, it'd be great for him if he's allowed the chance to go and flourish and have a go at the division above, but I think he's one that we should be keeping an eye on if that's not the case, and they're willing to let him go because they want to upgrade or change the way they play for whatever reason. Previous clubs include MK Dons and Cambridge United, which is both closer to home in terms of us rather than Mansfield Town. So it might be that he wants to move back down here. We never know, do we, in terms of family reasons. He might have family more local than the Nottinghamshire area where he is at the moment. Strengths, looking at a decent highlights package from a couple of seasons ago on the internet. Very strong, very direct, very athletic, solid, low centre of gravity. He's got very good left foot, which I know is not massively, vitally important all the time. It's not the be all and end all, certainly, but if you could get another left footer into the middle of the park, it could add some balance. If you had like him alongside an Ethan Coleman type, and then 4 in front that are allowed to go and be more attacking. Also isn't afraid to do the other side of the game and put his foot in and make a tackle. So yeah, that's my first pick in the middle of the park. Mansfield Town's Hiram Boateng. Finally on the list for this edition of potential targets is someone who plays for Brighton's under-21s. I'm thinking here Andrew Crofts is on the coaching staff, is a former academy coach at the Amex, so we might be able to go in through that way. We have a contact that is linked to our club, Andrew Croft having captained the side a few years ago. I'm talking about Paris-born Sami Shushan, if I've pronounced that correctly. I'm not sure that is right. I'm not very good at French, but that's what we're rolling with. He's got a contract till June 2025, but again, it's another loan option for me. I'm sure he's someone that Brighton and Hove Albion will want to keep an eye on and nurture and see how he progresses. But he's played 21 times this season for the under-21s. He's contributed 4 goals and 3 assists, and he's featured 6 times in the EFL Trophy. featuring against sides such as Walsall and MK Dons in 3-2 and 4-0 victories for the Seagulls youngsters respectively. There's a really nice video of him on YouTube. Composure, good with both feet, likes to take the ball in tight spaces, which could be key. I don't think we've got enough people that are willing to do that. Certainly in our half of the pitch, it's all right taking it when you've got a player up your backside edge of opposing box. But have we got people that are brave enough to go and take it off our centre-backs on the edge of our D and play? Maybe, maybe not. So that would be a key point for me. Positionally looks really sound. The clip was a few minutes and I didn't see many times where he had to go to ground. He was just in the right place at the right time. Yeah, and he had a decent passing range as well. So that's my final option for this edition of potential targets. Yes, French Brighton under-21 central midfielder Sami Shushan. As I always say, thank you for watching. If you are still doing so at this point, then it is greatly appreciated. I think it's just now 2 subscribers to get us to 3,100. So once again, a huge thanks to everybody that keeps interacting, sharing, liking, reposting, commenting, agreeing, disagreeing, all that type of thing. Please keep hitting that subscribe button. Please hit the like button on this video if you have enjoyed it. And yeah, we'll be back soon. I think we've got a couple of bits planned. Obviously, match day live later in the week. Saturday, final game of the season for us. Unfortunately, there will be no playoffs, but we've got that to look forward to. Then I think there'll be a League 2 team of the season video coming out next week at some point. Got to try and squeeze in Gills in the pub season review with Jack and Reese, and then hopefully have a rest. But yeah, thanks for watching as always, and until next time, up the Gills.